Hello everybody. So today we thought we'd do a science experiment with you, and we've been thinking about fruit for the past couple of weeks, haven't we, with Oliver's fruit salad last week and the Very Hungry Caterpillar this week. So as I said, we're going to do a science experiment. Now we have chosen a piece of fruit which has got quite pale flesh because we want to see what happens when we add 3 different liquids to it. So we've chosen an apple, but if you don't have apples at home you could use a pear or something else like that. So we're going to start off by cutting our apple. Now I've got quite a sharp knife here, so you might need your grown-ups to help you to do this, and I'm going to use my fingers like this when we do cooking at school, so I'm making sure that I'm not cutting myself. So I'm going to cut the apple into 3 different sections, and then we can see, can't we, that the middle of the apple is quite pale, so we'll be able to see what happens to it. So I'm going to put my apple into 3 different glass jars. Now we've chosen glass jars so that we can see through it and we can see what happens, but don't worry if you don't have glass ones, because you can look on the top and see what happens. And I've put my apple with the flesh side up so that we can really see it. So we've chosen 3 different liquids to see what effect they have on our apple. So we've chosen some oil, some vinegar and some water. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some labels onto the glass jar so that we can remember which one's in which, because the water and the vinegar look quite similar. So I'm going to put the labels onto our jars first of all so that we remember. We'll see what happens. Now we're going to leave this for a few days to see what happens, because it might take a little while. So I've got my labels on there already. So I'm going to start off with our oil and I'm going to pour it on top of the apple. Now you need quite a bit so that it completely covers your piece of fruit, because we want to see what happens to the inside of our apple. So I've done the oil and I'm going to do the vinegar now. So I'm going to pour that over our apple. Now, don't worry if you don't have all of these at home. You could try just with 2 of them to see what happens if you've only got oil and water, but it's quite nice to try with different things. And you might want to use something completely different. If you've got any fizzy pop at home, you could try that, or some fruit juice. So I've done the water now as well. So as you can see, all of our apples are covered by our liquids, and we are going to see what happens to these. So I'm going to leave them in a sunny spot for a few days and see what happens when I come back. And maybe you'd like to have a go at home too.